up the kickstand. Is it working? Okay, so I'll give you all a few more minutes. Let's try to define these. I'll let y'all work just a moment in silence by yourself, and then we'll see if we can't decode these words real quick. If you think you have defined all 10, just raise your hand when you're ready. Nobody? Okay, raise your hand if you know at least one of these words. 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you know at least 5 of them? No? 2? Okay. Okay. So you said you knew 2, right? Which one did you know? Okay. Give me your definition of mystify.
Mystify is like when you check it out or like see what's happening.
Okay, not quite, but that's a really good guess. I like it. Who else maybe has one that they want to try? Persuade. Give me your definition.
It's when like a TV show and they persuade you to buy something.
Okay, so very good. So that's trying to convince somebody to do something or to change their mind, maybe to get them to think like you do. All right, does anybody else want to try to? Go ahead.
Coward, it's where someone's scared, so they call them a coward.
Very good. All right, so you seem like you've got one. I'll let you go ahead.
Review.
Are you talking about this one right here?
Yeah.
Okay, this is revive.
Oh.
Do you still want to try it?
To bring back to life or something.
Very good. Very, very good. All right. So this was kind of hard, right? Does anybody have an idea of what would make this easier?
A context clue.
A context clue. Any other strategies to help us define these words? Or maybe some tools?
Yeah.
What's a tool or a strategy we could use? What do y'all usually do when you try to define your vocabulary words?
Dictionary.
Dictionary, you look them up. All right. So not all the time can we look up the words in the dictionary. Sometimes we have to use the context clues in what we're reading to define the words that we don't understand. So I actually made some of these really cool printouts for y'all. I'm going to give them to Miss Stacy. But it is a little pocketbook for you, and it's a reference guide on how to use context clues to help you decode your vocabulary terms. So in here, the first page is a nice little reference on what we call an acronym. Does anybody know what an acronym is? Maybe? What do you think an acronym is?
Pretty sure. I don't remember.
That's okay.
Second grade and I don't remember.
It's okay. All right, so an acronym is a word that is made up of the initial letters of multiple words. So in this case, we're going to remember the word ideas. Okay? So ideas stand for, I'm going to borrow one of Miss Stacy's markers here. So ideas stand for I for inference, D for definition, E for example, A for, anybody want to guess?
Apple.
Apple. Good guess, but not quite. Yes, ma'am.
Acronym.
That's a good guess too, but not exactly. But I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all. So it's antonym.
That one's easy.
So, and last letter is S. So if we have antonyms, what would be the other?
Synonyms.
synonyms. Good job. Oh, wrong letter. Okay, so ideas. So again, this is in the front of the booklet, and what it'll do is as you turn the pages, it'll give you a little definition of what each one represents and an example below. So for inferences, it says the meaning is not provided, so we're going to use the context clues from the text. So each page has the same reading, but it's changed up a little bit to associate best with each word, okay? So for inference, it says the influential mayor could easily persuade the citizens to do anything, okay? And again, each one of these pages has just what you need to understand what each step would require, okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do next is we are going to define all these terms real quick. Now, in order to save a little bit of time, since we don't have a bunch to work with, I actually went through and went ahead and defined all of these words. So I'm going to read them off to you. All right, so we have already successfully defined coward and revive. Which one?
And persuade.
And persuade. Very good. All right, if I can get to my pages, we can start. Maybe. Okay, there we go. All right, so origin. So this is the beginning of something, okay? Mystify is to make obscure or mysterious. So does anybody know a synonym for obscure?
Strange.
Not necessarily, but good guess. So and that's for strange, but very good. So obscure is not easily seen. So if we're obscured in the woods, we're hidden by the trees, nobody can really see. So if we're going to mystify something, we're going to make it less likely seen. You have a question? No? Okay. All right, and then we've done coward, and then this one is woe. This is great sorrow or distress. And triumph is a great victory. Frail, does anybody know what frail is? Okay, frail is weak and delicate. And then ambition is a strong desire. And we know what revive is. And then complexion. Has anybody heard that word before?
I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
Complexion is an appearance of someone's skin or maybe face, their body. So what we see as a person, okay? All right, so what we're going to do now is I've got a reading up here that we are going to use our context clues, and we're going to utilize the acronym ideas to actually decode this. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you really quick because I know it's kind of hard to see, and then we are going to actually make stops thereafter, and we're going to try to decode these words. Since we already know what they mean, it'll be a little easier to try and figure them out, but I would like to see how y'all implement these skills into figuring these words out, okay? All right, so the problem. Haley had a problem. She wasn't allowed to go to the concert with her friends on Friday. To add to this woe, all of her friends were able to go. She had to figure out a way to persuade her mom to let her go. She planned on showing her many different reasons why she should be able to go. The origin of the problem was that previously she went to the concert and didn't get home on time. Due to that reason, she was not able to go this time. She was not a coward though. She knew that she made a mistake previously, but that wasn't going to stop her from going this time. She had the ambition to make a great case to be able to go. Now she just needed a plan. She was going to mystify her mom so that she didn't even remember why she said no in the first place. she created a presentation with all of the reasons why she should be able to go. She showed this presentation to her brother, who gave her feedback. She went back and revived the presentation using his feedback. When she walked into the room with her mom, her complexion was white. She was pale and nervous. She stepped up and gave her presentation. She worked hard to explain why she should be able to go. When she was done, her mom looked at her and said, "Fine, you can go, but if you're late, you will never go again." Now there it goes. She danced around in triumph. She was so excited. She was dancing so much she fell over. She felt very frail as she tried to stand up. All right, so back up to the top. We're going to work with our first word here, and it is woe. Now, using ideas, let's see how we could decode woe. So the first sentence, it says, Haley had a problem. She wasn't allowed to go to the concert with her friends on Friday. To add to this woe, all of her friends were able to go. So, using ideas, what is possibly a way, if anybody wants to volunteer, that we could potentially decode woe? So, here it says Haley wasn't allowed to go. So, how many of you haven't been able to do something, but all your friends were able to go, or able to do it? Right. So, how does it usually make you feel? Sad. Mad. I know, I used to get pretty mad too if I wasn't allowed to do something. So, we know that woe meant great distress or sadness. So, we're going to say, we're going to actually identify what that context clue is, or what that part of our acronym is that helped us identify that word particular. So, woe. So, let's see. So she wasn't allowed to go, and then all of her friends were able to go. So I used inference. So I associated my own prior knowledge to this situation. So I knew how I would feel if all my friends were allowed to do something and I wasn't. So seeing that, I knew that to add to this woe, to add to her sadness, since she wasn't already able to go, everybody else was. So I'm going to write an I for inference over here because I know that's what I used to help me decode that word. So we're going to go down to persuade. So she had to figure out a way to persuade her mom to let her go. Okay. Now, what did we say persuade meant? So if we're going to persuade them, we're going to try to do what to?
If I said, Mom, can I have a lister? And she was like, no, and I'm trying to convince her.
Convince her. So we want her to allow us to do it, or we want to get them to a point where they want or they will let us do that. So, let's see. I know y'all don't have a reference here, so I'm just going to write it back up here on the board for y'all. All right. So, to persuade, so this is our word, and then to persuade her mom to let her go. So, what part of our ideas are we using to decode persuade? You know.
Convince?
Okay, convince is what, it's not in the text, but that is what is convince? That is a what of persuade? A synonym, very good. So we have a synonym for persuade, but it's not actually in the text, but it's giving us an example. So, to let her go. So to let her do something is an example of persuade, okay? So we're going to do one more and then we're going to move on, okay? All right, so the origin of the problem was that previously she went to a concert and didn't get home on time. So what did we say origin was?
The beginning of something?
The beginning of something. Okay, so we say the beginning. Are there any words in here that we could use ideas to find or previously? Very good. So what would we say this word is for?
Synonym?
Very good. Very, very good. All right. So if we had a little bit more time, we'd work through the whole article, but I want to do something else with y'all really quick. So this was really good. How many of you, raise your hand if you think you would use ideas to decode? Okay, good. Okay, who would like to volunteer why they like that acronym to help them decode?
It helps you know what it means.
It helps you know what it means. Anybody else want to give a reason why they like it? Very good. Okay. Any reason why nobody would use this? Okay, so ideas would help y'all remember these 5 things to look for in a text to help you decode. So let's review that really quick. What does I stand for? Inference. D? Definition. E? Example. A? S?
Synonym.
Very good. Very, very good. Okay, so now I want to share a book with y'all. This book, I love this book. My kids are really small, so they don't understand it, so I strictly read it for myself. Because growing up, I struggled in school, quite a bit actually. Reading was not really my friend because I struggled with my vocabulary words. So if I would have had this, I think maybe it would have helped me just a little bit. So I'm going to read this book to you because I think if I would have understood my words a little bit better, I think it would have been a lot like our character. So this book is called The Word Collector. It was written by Peter H. Reynolds. So before we start, I have a question. Who knows what a collector does?
They collect things.
They collect things. Anybody in here collect anything? I see a bunch of hands go up. Somebody haven't called on. Yeah.
Rocks.
You collect rocks? What do you collect?
Baseball cards.
Baseball cards. My husband used to collect those a bunch. What about you?
I occasionally, if we go to the beach, I'll find a couple seashells.
Seashells. Awesome. What do you collect?
Football cards and baseball cards.
Nice. You? Slime. Well, when I was a kid, I used to collect frogs. Not real ones. I loved real frogs, but can't collect those. So I collected anything that had a frog on it. I love frogs. I actually don't have any of it anymore since I moved a bunch, but that was what I collected when I was a kid. So we're going to talk about what Jerome, our character, collected. Collectors collect things. Some collect stamps. Some people collect coins. Others collect rocks. Some collect art. Some collect books. Others collect baseball cards. Some people collect comic books. And Jerome, what did he collect?
Words.
Jerome collected words. He collected words he heard. My trip to Peru was perfectly pleasant. Certain words caught his attention. He collected words he saw. Willow tea shop. Certain words just jumped out at him. He collected words he read. Emerald from Wizard of Oz. Certain words just popped off the page. Short and sweet words. Spark, bloom, drift, dream. 2-syllable treats. Treasure, motif. Whisper, glimmer, hover, and candid. And multi-syllable words that sounded like little songs. Guacamole, kaleidoscope, wonderful, symphony, geometry. There were words he did not know the meaning of at first, but they were marvelous to say. Aromatic, vociferous, effervescent. There were words whose sounds were perfectly suited to their meaning. Molasses, Toriental, Tyrannosaurus rex, smudge, and belly. Jerome filled his scrapbooks with more and more of his favorite words. Jerome's collections grew. He began organizing them: dreamy, science, sad, action, poetic. What is another way he could have organized his words?
Alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order. Ideas. Anybody else? Example. Go ahead. What they mean. One day, while transporting them, what? Anybody got an idea what might happen?
He dropped them.
He dropped them.
He trips.
He trips. They blow away. Jerome slipped, and his words went flying. Sounds like it's going to be a big mess. And he began to pick them up. He noticed his collection had become jumbled. So, by looking at this picture, can we decode what jumbled means? Who wants to? You. They're all mixed up. So big words next to little words, sad words next to dreamy words. Jerome began stringing words together, words he had not imagined being side by side. Whisper, symphony, electric, peace, savor, dreams, cascading, stars. He used his words to write poems. He used his poems to make songs. They moved, they delighted. Some of his simplest words were his most powerful. I understand. I'm sorry. Thank you. You matter. Jerome eagerly collected more and more of his favorite words. The more words he knew, the more clearly he could share with the world what he was thinking, feeling, and dreaming. One breezy afternoon, Jerome climbed the highest hill, pulling a wagon packed with his word collection. What do you think he's going to do?
The bag's gonna fall off the wagon.
Do you think it's going to be on purpose or on accident?
Purpose.
He smiled as he emptied his collection of words into the wind. All that work, and he let all his words go. He saw the children in the valley below, scurrying about collecting words from the breeze. So again, we have another word here. Do you think we could use this picture to define the word scurrying? So you're going to go first.
Moving fast.
Moving fast. Yeah.
All over the place.
All over the place. Running to get stuff. Grabbing. Okay. Awesome, guys. You're all doing great. Jerome had no words to describe how happy that made him. So, reach for your own words. Tell the world who you are and how you will make it better. Okay. So, one more activity. Real quick, I have a question. How can you pay more attention to new words?
By describing them.
By describing them. Listening. You got one?
No.
Nope.
By identifying it.
By identifying it. Context clues. So when I was a kid, and I told y'all that I struggled with reading quite a bit, my teacher told me to start reading anything I saw, everything. So my favorite thing to read when I was little was billboards. Funny.
What's that?
You know the big signs that are on the side of the road as you're driving? Some of them advertise hospitals, they advertise food, McDonald's. That right there, I started reading really good, because if I couldn't identify a word, I'd ask for help. Or maybe I would use pictures to help me identify those words. Okay? So, where may you learn and see new words that you could start collecting?
In books.
In books. That's a great place to start. Signs. Okay. What was it? Straight roads.
A dictionary.
A dictionary. What better place to go to if you don't know the meaning of a word? Actually, I had a friend that used to just read dictionaries. He had a very good vocabulary too. Okay, so our last game. I have some more words we're going to play with. Okay, so I did like Jerome, and I took some of his favorite words out of the book, put them on some yellow cards, and again, to save some time, I went ahead and defined these words. But we are going to, we're going to actually try to use these words in a sentence, see if we can't give off our best ideas to represent these words, okay? All right, so who would like to volunteer? Okay, I'll give you one. And I think I'm just gonna give out 3 just to kind of save a little bit of time. Miss Stacy, how well are we doing on time?
Giving up the whole thing.
Okay, I'm just gonna hand out 3.
I don't know what it's saying. Spell it.
Trying to see anybody that hasn't participated.
That's what I'm doing.
All right, so, and here in just a minute, I'll pass out the rest of these, and each of you can have one to take. You maybe make it your own word, okay? Okay, go ahead, read off your word to us. All right, let's chunk it up and try to sound it out, okay? Effervescent. So read off the definition for us. Getting off bubbles or fizzy.
Let's see, a water balloon? I don't know. Something fuzzy.
Okay, does it say fuzzy on there?
Fizzy.
Fizzy. All right, so think on your word for a minute. I'm going to move on to someone else really quick. I want you to try to come up with a really good sentence for us, okay? All right, you.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Read our definition.
Causing great wonder and
Okay, can you give us a sentence using your word? You want a minute to think on it? Okay, what about you? Okay, let's try sounding it out real quick. Let's chunk it up. Cascading. What's your definition?
Or downward rapidly in large quantities.
Okay, so pouring down rapidly or in large quantities. Do you have a sentence that you could use your word in?
No.
You got one. I can see it.
the sky looked marvelous.
The sky looked marvelous. I love it. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think bubbles or fizzy? I know what comes to my mind. It's something I love really, really.
I love bubbles.
You love bubbles?
I love bubbles.
I can see you've got something in your mind. Yeah, go ahead.
There's like a pot and there's bubbles like filling up.
Okay, so how could you use that in a sentence?
I don't know.
That's okay. You got something? Go ahead. Soda! That's exactly what I was thinking of. Dr. Pepper is my favorite drink. All right, so effervescent. So the effervescent of the Dr. Pepper tickled my nose. So the fizzy of the Dr. Pepper tickled my nose. So the effervescent. I really liked your sentence. That was great. And then yours was cascading. So to pour downwards. So what comes to mind when we think of something pouring down? Keep going.
Wait, what's the one you have?
Cascading.
Okay. waterfall was cascading down to the lake.
Beautiful. I love it. Guys, y'all did so great. I appreciate y'all working with me today. So, out of all of this, what is the one thing that we really, really covered strongly today? In the back. The ideas. And that is to help us do what? Use context clues to do. Decode words we don't know. Guys, y'all did great. I have some candy that I'm going to give out to y'all. So, candy. As you exit, I'll have candy you can grab and then grab a word. Okay?
Xander, you need to come.
Yes, of course. If you don't know your word, you can definitely ask me.
The tablet's still recording. The tablet's still recording. The camera's recording. I can see some answers. The camera's still recording. Mine's everlasting. Hey, look, you're gonna get in the camera. Hey, that's a good movie. It's recording. Oh, you can see it? Yeah, I can see it. It's still recording. It's still recording. I don't care. Hi. I just saw your hand. I'm gonna be you're good. Yeah. Wait, what'd you do? I get already. I need to say
Alright, everybody here. Guys, y'all were great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the camera.
We got candy.